right, we are live. Cool. Welcome everybody to Wednesday night Power Flow Yoga. Today, welcome to the two people who are on the stream right now. If you want to let me know who you are, please do. You can do it in the chat. Tonight I feel like just doing straight up power flow. So maybe focusing on fewer poses and a little bit more alignment so we can get really deep into that. There may be some other things that pop up as we get started, but that's kind of my intention for the flow today. So yeah, get yourself situated. If you don't have a yoga block, I do suggest having a water bottle nearby as your prop. It's always good to have something to support your hands whenever you're reaching to the floor. So water bottle's a good alternative. Yeah, let's go ahead. Once you're all set, meet me in child's pose. So have your arms stretched out nice and long in front of you. Press the weight back towards your heels. And move your forehead back and forth on the floor if it's touching the ground right here. If it's not, that's okay. You can stay where you are. As long as you're feeling a stretch through your hips, that's really what you're going for right now. Take one more breath. Let the breath go. Come up to a downward facing dog. Stay in your downward facing dog for a few breaths and start experimenting with the distance that your feet go. So you might, if your heels are touching the floor all the way flat, it might be time to scoot your feet further back. If they're way, way far back, you kind of want somewhere in the middle where your heels are maybe an inch or two away from the floor and you're getting a nice stretch here. So take some breaths and you can pedal your knees and your feet. I'll get my timer real quick so I can make sure we stay on track. Breathe out everything you've got. Walk your hands all the way to the top of your mat. Ragdoll pose. Grab opposite elbows. Let your upper body release towards the ground. Exhale completely. Let your hands drop. Extended mountain pose. Sweep your arms up high. Fingers nice and stretched. Take your hands, touch them together, and move them to heart center. We will officially begin this practice together with one chant of Om. So with your eyes open on your fingertips, we will start with an exhale. Take a breath in. Extended mountain pose, breathe in. Forward fold, breathe out. Halfway lift, push your chest forward. Plank pose, step back. Breathe in, shift your chest past your wrists. Chaturanga, bend your elbows to 90 degrees. Straighten them for upward facing dog, breathe in. Push back, downward facing dog. And we'll stay here for a couple of cycles of breath. Again, get nice and sturdy through your foundation, your hands and your feet. And we will keep flowing. Sun A. Inhale, pick up your heels. Exhale, bend your knees. Hold the breath out. Walk or jump to the top. Lift halfway. Breathe in. Bow down. Breathe out. Extended mountain pose. Inhale, rise up. Fold down. Exhale. Halfway lift, squeeze your shoulders close together, right to chaturanga. So make sure you're creating the shift forward before you lower. Then you go upward facing dog, all the way back, downward facing dog. One inhale to reset. Exhale all the way out. Inhale, lift your heels way up. Bend your knees nice and low. Use that to spring or walk to the top, halfway up. Inhale. Fold down, let your head drop. Mountain pose, full breath in. Fold over, full breath out. Lift halfway, deep breath. Step or walk or jump back, chaturanga. Breathe in, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. One more sun salutation. A, come up to your tippy toes. Bend your knees, look where you're going. Jump or step, halfway up. Inhale. Forward fold, fold at your waist. Extended mountain pose. Breathe in. Bow, exhale. Halfway up. Chaturanga. So make that one complete exhale before you go to the next pose. Upward facing dog. Hips back and high, downward facing dog. Stay and breathe a couple rounds. Reset your fingertips nice and wide. And your toes stretch out too. So take a look while you're looking to the back of your mat. Expand that space there. And then walk your hands back to your feet. So you're at the back of your mat. Meet in a forward fold. Relax your neck. Sit down for chair pose. So when you're sitting down lately, we've been having fingertips starting on the floor. So bend your knees to match so you're touching the ground, and then lift your chest up. This is how low your chair can be. We'll stay for another inhale. When you exhale, fold back down. Breathe in, chest up. Walk it out, and in one exhale, make it through your chaturanga. Upward dog. Downward dog. Step forward with your right foot, warrior one. Take a moment to adjust your hips. Both of them rotate towards the front of your room. Inhale, reach a little more. Exhale, take it down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Back to down dog. Take your left foot to the top now, warrior one. Push your right hip bone forward. Draw your left butt cheek back, and we'll breathe in one more time. Vinyasa, take it low, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, roll your shoulders back. Down dog, push everything back. And then take your hands back too. Meet at the back of your mat, forward fold. Sit down nice and deep, chair pose, breathe in. Fold in half, breathe out. Halfway lift, inhale. Walk and bend your elbows, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, squeeze your belly. Downward dog. Right side warrior one. Inhale as you go up. And we'll come right back down, chaturanga. So just start catching the flow with your breath. Inhale up. Downward facing dog. Other foot to the top, warrior one. Inhale, rise. Take it down, chaturanga. Breathe in, up dog. Breathe out, down dog. Walk your hands to meet your feet. Forward fold at the back. Breathe in for your chair pose. Breathe out, fold over. Halfway lifts. Take it low, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, dig into your fingers. Downward dog. Warrior one, right side, one breath. And then we flow, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward dog. One more time, left side, warrior one. Inhale up. Chaturanga down. Upward facing dog, fill up your lungs. Downward dog, clear them out. Walk your hands to meet your feet. Once you get to the back, split your feet about hip width distance. Grab your big toes with your peace fingers. Big toe forward fold. Take a few breaths, let your head drop. You can sway it side to side if you feel any tension there. Let go of your toes. Walk yourself out into a plank. And then roll to side plank on your right hand. So you do have the option, if side plank is tough, you can always stagger your feet. So have one of your sets of toes touching your opposite heel, or you can take a bottom knee down. No matter what, find something that helps you stay grounded. And if you're looking for more, top leg up. Go to your edge here. We'll stay and breathe one more time. Take your hand down, meet in plank. Walk your hands back to meet your feet. Once you're there, slide your hands underneath. Gorilla pose. Again, let the top of your head drop down. Create some space for your neck to relax. Let your hands come out. Walk them forward. Take it to a plank position. And then we'll roll to the left hand now, side plank. Left hand on the floor. Adjust your feet however it helps you get that stability here. But then press your hips up and expand. Whatever expansion means for you today is cool. Stay and breathe. And on your next breath out, take it back to your plank. This time we're going for the chaturanga. Shift over, bend it down. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Step forward with your right foot, crescent lunge. So for your crescent lunge, create some distance between your feet, enough to where your back heel can press right over your back big toe while your front knee stays directly over your ankle. So if your stance is too short and you create this, then your knee will go too far forward. So you want to have a stack of all your joints here, knee over ankle, and then your heel over your toes. So maybe it's time to go deeper. If that's for you, scoot your back foot back a little further. Have your hands in a prayer position. We're going for the twist. Inhale, push your chest forward. Exhale, rotate to the right. And you have the option to open your arms if you want to. You still want to keep your back leg engaged. So notice if it tried to dip, squeeze it and lift it away from the floor. Come back to crescent lunge, arms up, stay grounded through both feet. Take your body open to the side, warrior two. Try to keep your front knee low. Extended side angle lunge. So you can reach your top arm forward. For me today, I feel like having my elbow against my thigh. This is another good place. If you have a block available, you can use it under your bottom hand. What you want to do in this position is check in with your front knee and make sure it's not rolling into the big toe side. You want it stacked and aiming straight forward. I know you've got a lot going on right here. Push into your back leg more and breathe in one more inhale. Flow it out, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, squeeze your thighs. Downward facing dog. Take your left foot to meet your hands, crescent lunge, other side. Create those adjustments with your feet. So the other thing too, if you're feeling a little off balance, create more distance left and right between your feet. So if you're standing with your feet on one line, it might be kind of hard to keep your foundation because your hips are having trouble staying square. So create that space if you need it. Create the stack. Press your palms together if they were reaching up. And we'll breathe in, extend forward. Breathe out as you twist. Use the elbow of your right arm and push it down to get your chest up towards your thumbs. Option to take your arms apart. Remember to squeeze your back leg. I noticed mine kind of went out of the game here, so squeeze it, lift it, and then take it back to crescent lunge. Keep your left knee just as bent as it is. Rotate to the side, warrior two. Lean it over, extended side angle lunge. So create whatever you want to with your bottom arm. Your top arm for extended side angle reaches over your ear. So go for what works for you. Keep grounding down through both feet, especially your back foot, because I know your front one might be feeling some stuff right now. We'll inhale again. As you exhale, windmill down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Down dog, exhale it out. And then walk your hands back to meet your feet. When you get there, take a chair pose. Remember how to get that low stance. Once you're in your chair, press your palms together in front of you. Inhale, rotate to the right side. Same thing here, use your elbow to push your chest up and make sure your tail is not tipping your chest down. You want your tail aiming down, your chest aiming up. Come back through chair pose. We're going for the other side right away. Hands together, breathe to lengthen, let it out to twist. Check in and make sure your knees and your hips are facing straight forward. You don't have any twists going on in your joints right here. And then come back, chair pose, breathe, forward fold, let it go. Extended mountain pose, reach up. It might feel good to press your hips forward after all those chairs, and then fold back down, exhale. Lift up, halfway lifts. Stretch and walk forward all the way through your chaturanga flow. Up dog. Meet in downward facing dog. And then walk your feet to the top of your mat. Meet your hands there. Exhale, fold a little deeper. Extended mountain pose. Take your arms to the sky. Set up for eagle pose on the right. So your right leg wraps around on top. Your right elbow wraps underneath. If you don't have the wrap of your arms that accessible, you can always wrap and grab opposite shoulders instead, or press your forearms together. Breathe out, sit deeper. Breathe in, extended mountain. Switch to the other side, eagle pose. And once you've got the wrapping, squeeze tightly. Part of the point of this pose is to create that constriction. So then once you do release, you can feel some fresh blood flow moving through your body. Let's go for it. Mountain pose. Inhale, feel that extension. Standing leg raise, right side. So grab your right knee or your right toes. Keep your right foot flexed. And then turn open to the sides of your room. And after you've opened, you can move your towards your left thumbnail After all that, open up even wider. Try to go for 2 inches on both sides. Take it back, hands to your heart. Reset your foot on the floor and just practice being in mountain pose for a moment, both feet firmly on the ground. Notice the angle of your hips. You can actually grab your hip bones right here. Take your right foot back off the floor, but just swing it straight forward. So it doesn't have to go super high. If you're feeling like you want to, you certainly can, but increase that stability here by angling your hips facing the same way. So don't let your right hip pop up. Keep it aiming straight. Keep that and then swing your right foot back. Airplane pose. Keep your hands on your hips and notice where your hips want to go. It's going to be natural to try to flare out to the right. Do your best to have your hips both aiming towards the ground. So it's going to feel like you're overcorrecting it. That's almost where you want to be. And then step your right foot back behind you, pyramid pose. You can use your leg as the prop, or you can use blocks. If your hands touch the floor, that's cool too. Put all the weight back into your left foot. We're coming back into that airplane stance. So now you use the strength lifting up to come into this position. Turn your body to the right, half moon. Another really awesome prop. Again, a water bottle is a good replacement. So half moon is an open hip position, which means you want to take your top hip bone and roll it back until it stacks on top of your bottom leg. Breathe in, push a little more through your top foot. Reset, both feet on the ground, stand up, extended mountain. Hands back together at heart center. Let's set up for standing leg raise with your left knee up. So draw it towards your face, grab on, and expand to the left and the right. Final step would be to look over, turn your whole face over to the right. And every time you breathe, see if you can open a little wider. Come back, angle both hips facing forward, hands on your hips, step down, reset both feet on 12 o'clock, and then draw your left foot forward. So keep the flexion in your ankle here and keep your hips level as we swing it back. You can go super slow with this. Swing it back behind you, airplane pose. So your hands are there to help you guide your hips. If you're opening up, use your hands to turn your left hip bone down towards the mat. Take your left foot, step it back a couple feet, pyramid stance. So this is the same hip position, but now we're not balancing. So you can take a second to make your adjustments, get nice and grounded. Reach your chest forward, put the weight into your right foot. You're coming back, airplane. Rotate to the left side now, half moon, balancing on your right leg. So remember, this is open hip position. So now you're essentially doing the opposite of what you just did in airplane, where before you were trying to turn your left hip bone down. Now turn it up and rotate it back behind you. If you feel anything weird happening in your low back, focus on hugging your abs in. Pull that in tight, and we'll breathe in together. On your exhale, left foot meets the right, fold forward. And then take any forward fold variation you'd like to. You can do more gorilla poses, Grab your big toes. I like to wrap my arms around the backs of my knees. You can grab whatever helps you out. Make sure your head has some freedom to relax. Release your forward fold. Come back to standing, extended mountain pose. Hands to heart center. Tree pose. Right side first. So take your right foot. You can have it nice and low. You can create a little kickstand. If you have the access, you can put your foot all the way up on your inner thigh. The only rule is not to press your foot against your knee. But speaking of pressing, once you do have your foot there, push against your leg, create a seal, and it will help your legs and your abs light up to keep you balanced. So this is an open hip position, just like half moon. So you're turning your right knee and your right hip out to the side and open. So now take your knee, turn it straight forward, lift your foot up off of your leg, dancer's pose. So from the side, you keep your right foot off the ground, reach your right hand back to grab your foot or your ankle. Once you've got the connection, take your left arm up and push your foot backwards. So dancer's pose is a closed hip position. Now you're trying to angle your right hip facing the same direction as your left. So instead of opening to the right, turn it forward and down. Gently let go of your right foot, hands back where they came from. We'll switch it up, tree pose, left side to start. So you begin with your hands together in front of you. Place your left foot wherever it feels best. Push against your legs so you create that activity, that strengthening through both legs. And now we're moving to the closed hip position. Lift your foot off of your leg, turn your knee forward. So right from here, you can practice squaring up your hips. Kick your foot back behind you, grab your foot, grab your ankle. Notice if your hip wants to roll open to the left, take it and turn it down. It might mean you don't kick up as high, that's okay. Your shoulders will want to do the same thing. They'll want to flare over to the left. Pull your right bicep back behind your ear and kick. With control, let go of your foot. Step back to the mat and we'll meet an extended mountain. Sweep your arms to the sky. Take a deep breath. Forward fold, let it go. Halfway lift, inhale deeply. Chaturanga, take it low. Upward facing dog, breathe in. Down dog, breathe out. Step forward with your right foot, triangle pose. So I really enjoy using a prop under my bottom hand for triangle. Use what you've got. Check in and make sure you don't have your joints locked out. You want just a tiny bend, so you're putting the stretch into your muscles instead of your knee joints. And then see if it feels like every other triangle pose you've ever done before. That means it's time to scoot your feet further away from each other. Make it a little more challenging to stay grounded. So then you have something to practice. Come up to standing, take an inhale. Turn all your toes facing the left. Set up for side facing, wide-legged forward fold. Today, you can do whatever you'd like with your arms. For me, I feel like grabbing onto my big toes and pulling down. If you have a headstand practice or you've been working on Firefly, this is where you would put it. If you are not doing those things, just enjoy the fold. If you are upside down or working on something else, it's time to come back and we'll meet in a standing position. So go ahead, take your body upwards, rotate your feet facing forward. We're going to do another pyramid pose. Have your hands on your hips and square them facing forward before you fold. So keep your hips just like that. Extend your chest and then drop it down. And you can move your hands wherever it feels good. Exhale out. Lift your chest up, extend it forward. Rotate to the right, revolved triangle pose. So in this position, you're trying to turn not from your hip bones, but you're focusing on turning from the very base of your spine. So rather than taking your hips and twisting them, try to keep your hips square, lengthen, and then rotate from the lowest point you can with your back here. And if it feels like too much, you don't have to rotate as far. You can just practice lengthening, and that will give you all the benefits without as much force. So for me, I'm keeping my right hand on my hip just to ensure that they're level. You can always open your arm up to the ceiling if that feels better for you. Breathe out. Breathe in, turn your body facing forward, lift up, and take a big step forward. Extended mountain pose. Fold over, breathe out your air. Lift halfway. Flow through chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Down dog. Triangle pose on the left side. So create your foundation. Get real about where your pose is at. If it's time to advance it to another place, keep scooting your feet wider. You can also practice just more opening where your feet currently are. So drive your hips towards the right side of your mat. Take your shoulders back behind you. Another way to advance the pose is just to breathe a little deeper. Exhale everything out. Stand up. Turn your feet facing forward. We'll skip the wide legs on that side. Grab your hip bones. Create the rotation. Hips aiming towards the front. Breathe in, extend forward. Breathe out, drop it down. So once your hands are down too, let your head relax. You can look to the back edge of your mat or near your back foot somewhere. Same thing as pyramid or same thing as triangle. Just check in with your knees. If they are locked, put a little bend there. Breathe out. Breathe in, lift halfway. And now turn from that lowest point in your waist, turn to the left side. Keep your hips right there, twisting triangle. So as you're here to deepen the pose, keep lengthening your chest to the front and anchoring your hips and your back foot backwards. So you're really just creating length more than depth. We'll be here for one more inhale. Take your chest, turn it down, and then step your foot back, hands in plank position. Come down to your forearms, forearm plank. And then we'll walk back up, plank pose on your hands. Come back down, forearm plank. Walk it up, plank pose. We have one more round, forearm plank. Stay here in your forearm plank and breathe. Check in, just, you can't really see it, but observe if your hips are piped up like a down dog, or if they're just hanging out. You want to flat as a board right here. And then gently lay your lower body on the floor. Put the tops of your feet down. Keep your forearms on the mat and push the mat away so you're in Sphinx pose here. This is a good opening pose. If you push your hands and your elbows and the length of your forearms into the floor and then pull backwards towards your hips, you'll feel your chest and your abs start to stretch out. Next step, if you don't feel that, you can take your hands, walk them out a little bit, press the floor away, seal pose. And if anything doesn't feel quite right with your low back, you don't have to go that far. You can do a cobra pose, which is basically up dog without the lift in your legs. Same thing though, push into the floor, pull your hands back towards your hip bones. We've been here for a while. Let's breathe in one more. Exhale, release. Lay one cheek on the floor. And then turn your face the opposite direction. Take your arms out into a T shape. And with your arms outstretched, bend your right knee. Take your foot across your back behind you. So you're in a twisting position. You're opening up the front of your left shoulder. Come back to center. Right foot meets the left. Bend your left knee now. Take your foot, drop it over. Let your body open. And come back through. Reset your feet. Take your hands back like you're about to do an up dog. And now we'll move into locust pose, but start with cobra. So start by lifting your chest. Press the mat away. Lift your hands off the floor and now lift your feet, locust pose. Breathe in. Breathe out, lower down. 2 more times. Inhale, locust pose. Exhale, lower. Final round, locust pose. If you have a different arm variation you prefer, do that now. We'll stay for 3, for 2, 1. Relax to the mat. Bend your right knee. Reach back, grab your foot or ankle with your right hand. Take your opposite hand forward. So it's basically like dancer's pose, but you're on your stomach here. Go ahead and kick back. Lift everything up. Half bow, half locust. Kick a little more. Let that go. Swing to the other side. Grab your left foot, your left ankle, and then push back. Your right arm comes up too. Stay with it. Breathe deeply. On your next exhale, let that go. Hands down, feet down. You're welcome to bend your knees and move your feet back and forth. Replace your feet on the mat. Set up for an up dog for real this time. Hands down. Press your body up. Squeeze your thighs so they lift up as well. And then come to your knees for camel pose. For camel pose, I typically like to tuck my toes underneath me. I feel like it helps me activate my legs a little more. You don't have to do that. You can have the tops of your feet resting on the ground. Your hands can be fists, fingertips facing up, fingertips facing down. Whatever you need to do to get your shoulder blades plugged in and your chest lifted. So what you don't want is this, where your hips go back towards your heels. Press your hips forward over your knees. Lift your heart, and then very, very last, your head can drop back only if it feels good for you. Release that, come up leading with your chest. Sit back on your heels just to reset. We'll go one more time, camel pose. Pick up your hips, drive them forward, and keep your heart lifting up. What you're trying to do with this action is create more length through your spine. So you're not just bending backwards, you're actually lengthening more than anything else. Come up, take your body into a bridge position. So if you're lucky and you do have a prop, you can do lazy bridge right here. The prop would go right underneath your sacrum. And then your hands can go wherever they work. If you don't have a yoga prop, now is probably the time to get one, but you can practice an active bridge pose. Same idea, your hips go up. You are opening your hip flexors and you are really activating your legs. Squeeze your shoulder blades closer together. Give them a little scoot. Push into the floor with your feet. Get your chest closer to your chin. Exhale, lower down to the mat. We are going up 2 more times if you're in active bridge. If you're in lazy bridge, you can stay where you are. So active bridges, let's go up again. Press the floor away. So you can use your upper arms too to help you out. Breathe out, lower down. Those of you in the active bridge, you do have the option to come to wheel now. So if you want to, go for it. Wheels, bridges, or lazy bridge. Go ahead and push up. So we'll stay in this one for a little bit longer. You can do push-ups in your bridge, like lifting and lowering your hips. You can do push-ups in wheel. You can sustain the pose. We'll stay for a couple more breaths. Push into your feet more so your chest can open. The next time you breathe out, take yourself out of that position. Meet in a reclined butterfly. Here might be a good time to close your eyes. Just check in with how your body's doing. Happy baby. So you don't have to grab your toes or your knees right here. Or yeah, you can grab your knees actually. Knees are somewhere else on your legs that helps you to create this stretch without curling your back up too tight. So just notice if your shoulders or your tailbone start to lift, adjust your hands a little bit lower on your legs. Let go of that, extend your legs up to the ceiling. This is waterfall pose. We'll stay here for just a moment. The moment is over. Let's do some core work. Lift your shoulders up, reach your arms towards the front of your mat. If you feel like you're not stable in this position, you could also slide your hands underneath your hips. You decide what works, and we'll lower feet down 30%. Lower them 60. Take them back up vertical. Touch your toes together. Take your heels apart. Lower 30. Lower 30 more. Take them up. And then switch. Heels touch. Toes apart. Lower 30. Lower 60. Back up straight. Bend your knees. Hug them in. And now you're ready for some bicycles. Fingertips back behind your head. Let's twist it out. Go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lay back, squeeze your knees. Come to boat pose. So you can grab your knees to get situated. What you want is for your shoulders to be plugged in like a mountain pose, chest nice and tall. Take your legs and extend them, toes up as far as they can go while keeping your heart lifted. Breathe out, low boat. Come back up, boat pose. Low boat. Back to your boat. Last time, low boat. Look at your toes, crisscross your feet. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lay back, hug in. Sigh breath if you need it. And then take yourself up to a seat. Let's go to double pigeon with your right leg on top. So if you want to start this way, you can start by getting a little half pigeon preview by taking your right ankle across the top of your left thigh, and then you just scoot your bottom foot over to the side. I say just like it's no big deal. Some of us feel really, really tight here. So you can also have your bottom leg extended straight if that's just not happening for you today. So for me, I literally have to rock over towards my top leg side, pick up my hip, and then reposition it so I'm level on both sides. Now the work is to stay and breathe. And you do have options with your arms. If you want to take them back by your hips, you can start to push the front of your pelvis down. So this, if you can notice when I'm doing that, I'm tilting my tail up, front of my pelvis down. I can see my knees drop quite a bit. That's one way to deepen the posture. Another way is to take your arms and extend them forward. Not everyone needs the deepening though, so you decide what your body is asking for or not. If it feels intense, that is kind of what you're going for, as long as it doesn't feel sharp or electric or stabby. You're really just looking for a deep stretch. So observe the sensations. Exhale again. Come up. Take your legs out in front of you, give them a little shake, and then we'll do double pigeon. Left leg is on top this time. So plant your feet, situate your top ankle, and then wiggle right foot over to the right. Like I said, both sides I have to literally lean over, pick up my hip flesh, scoot it out. And the other option too, if your top knee is lifted way high and it's just not feeling stable, you can take a block underneath your bottom leg. And what this essentially does is brings the floor up to meet you. So you've got some stability here, more or less puts the floor at an angle to meet your legs. Use your hands in whatever fashion helps you to open up. You do want to make sure your top ankle is not sickling in. So if you're kind of rolling in like this, that means it's time to pick up your ankle, scoot it out to the side. This is a little bit more stable for your joints. Definitely healthier for your ankle and healthier for your knee because you can create that flexion here. It activates all the muscles around your joints just to keep the joints from feeling so much pressure. Let that go. Take a single leg seated forward fold. So whichever leg you want to start with, you extend one out to the side, turn your body to face it, and then reach your chest towards your toes. Breathe out completely. Lift and switch legs. So once you've folded, just notice what's up with your extended foot. If it's not really engaged, that means flex it towards your face. Create that activity there, deepen the stretch. Press up to a seated position. Now we go for both legs forward. Same thing. Reach over, chest towards your toes. There is no rule that says you need to grab your feet or that you need to keep your legs straight. So for me, I like to bend, create that sandwich effect of my belly to my thighs because it ensures that my back is flat. Where if I don't do that and I'm just reaching, my back is rounding, which is kind of what we do most days if you're ever sitting at a desk or driving. So create that little sandwich, shoulder blades back, and we'll breathe out one more time. Unfold your body and reverse it. We'll do a reverse plank pose. This is one of those few poses where we point our toes, press into the mat, lift your hips up, and you're actually trying to drive the ball mounds of your big toes into the floor. So push, squeeze, release to the floor, lay down on your back. You can do waterfall pose here, but I feel like showing some shoulder stand stuff since I know that can be kind of a tricky one. So shoulder stand looks like this right here. So if you notice the shoulder stand, what I'm doing here, if you happen to be in a place to look, right? If you're in shoulder stand, don't look, just look to the ceiling. If you're observing not in shoulder stand, the alignment is to have your feet over your knees, over your hips, over your elbows. So it's not feet overhead. This is moving into a different pose, but now I can feel a lot more pressure in the back of my head. So this instead distributes the weight more towards your upper arms. It gives me a lot more freedom in my neck. You don't need to move your neck around. I don't recommend that, but it's avoiding the pressure there. So the pose that comes after this is plow pose. So you're actively working to get your feet over your head. But again, if you feel anything happening in your neck, that would mean it's time to come back to shoulder stand or a depth of plow that's not quite as intense. So maybe your feet don't touch the ground. If your neck still feels good, that's cool. Next pose from here after plow is ear pressure pose. This one, if you have tight hamstrings, it might have felt like this was the one you went straight to. You can bend your knees. It might look something more like this. If you have that flexibility, you can take your knees and squeeze your temples. Or if you're going for the full expression, your knees would squeeze against your ears. Hence the name ear pressure pose. And if you were in any variation of an inversion, it is time to come down. Hug your knees in. Open your arms to a T. Drop over for supine twist. Knees to the right. Gaze to the left. Rotate the other direction. This is that time to really focus on slowing down your breathing. Slow down your thoughts. Take it to the middle, reclined butterfly. And you are welcome to stay in reclined butterfly for your rest. The next step, if you want to go there, is Shavasana with your arms and legs resting out. This is also called corpse pose. So literally, you just lay there. This is your chance to let the practice sink in. So give yourself permission to fully release into your resting pose, making sure the timing is right. We'll have a couple minutes in your Shavasana rest. In Shavasana, let yourself release any additional tension. You can scan your body from the top of your head down to your feet and just see if there are pockets of tightness that need to be let go of. You can just send the tension away with a soft exhale. Begin wiggling your fingers and your toes. If you feel like you need more time in your Shavasana, you can definitely stay. If you feel ready to move on, you can expand. Full body stretch. Hug in your knees. Lay yourself on your side, infant's pose. And come up to a seated position. Situate your body in a way that allows you to sit up nice and tall, shoulders back, chest open. Touch your palms together right in front of your heart. We will close out our practice with one final Om. Breathe out. Breathe in. Take your thumbs to touch your third eye right between your eyebrows. Thank you very, very much for doing practice with me tonight or this morning or today, whenever you're watching the stream. I appreciate your efforts very much. The light in me sees, honors, and loves the light in you. Namaste. Thank you again for being part of this flow. As always, the invitation is wide open if you have requests or questions, comments, anything at all that you're looking for in your practice. I would be more than happy to help. So you can drop a comment on the videos or send a little chat while we're live. So we are making some good progress on the new gym space, which we plan to open up coming soon. So stay in touch with our CJJF Instagram and Facebook and all that good stuff. We'll be sharing updates as we receive them. And I'm also coming up with some ideas to build a bigger yoga library so you guys can kind of put together your own flows. So I'm thinking like 15-minute clips. So you can decide if you want to focus more on balancing or restoration, core, things like that. So that's kind of my idea in the works right now. Um, Please feel free to leave some comments. You guys, thank you so very much. I will see you soon. This is our final class of this week. So I'll be back on Monday at 7:30 p.m. Check it out. Take care till then, you guys. I will see you on the mats.